Welcome to Mended Men's Conversation, life lessons and legacies, where real men have real conversations. In every episode, we dive deep into the struggles, victories, and lessons that shape us as men. From mental health and fatherhood to faith, identity, and purpose, we are breaking the silence and starting the conversations that matter. Between us is over 12 years of professional experience and more than 140 years of combined life experience as fathers, sons, brothers, husbands, friends, and educators. We know that healing starts with an honest dialogue. So let's get real. Let's get ready. Let's grow together. This is Mended Men's Conversation.
Welcome. This is Mended Men's Conversation. My name is Titus Garnett.
And I'm Anthony Washington.
And Anthony Washington is here today because he would be a guest, but he found a way to sneak into the show where it's difficult for me to cut his mic off. But we're going to have a good show today. What it is, we're just having two men having conversations like we do if we're at home, in the car, or barbershop, in the street, no matter what. We're not trying to be clean cut, professional, sweet talking like the talking heads that you see on TV. It's just two brothers telling it like it is from our vantage point of where we see it. One of the things that I've noticed, this is not a therapy session. All right. If you need therapy, you go to garnettcounseling.com and we'll mention that again at the end of the show. Right now, we're just having conversation and we're talking to elderly and semi-yawning elderly gentlemen trying to get the show going. And today, if today's subject matter is what's going on. Now, I could play the Marvin Gaye music to the background to what's going on, but I don't want to tempt you to singing, and I just don't want to drive people away if that's the case. But if
do your record player still work?
A record player. Listen to this guy. Record player. Boy, I swear. And our show initially started being more of a black men looking at one another in our relationship to our families, each other, ourselves. But it has kind of gravitated more toward how we look at the society around us, the political society around us, and still maintaining our personal relationship and things that we see, all right? But this year and last year has really been kind of critical and crazy of what's going on in the world today. And when I say the world, I could say our country, but our country, it's a small world. What affects us affects outside of us, and what goes on outside of us affects us in here. There's so many different subtitles that can go on what's going on. But one of the things that hit me lately, and there's a lot more we can get into. There really is. The Democratic Party, recently, they had their primaries and they had a lot of so-called socialist progressives that won primary elections. And you hear people like Trump, and Trump is calling them communists, and he don't even know what a communist is. He don't know what a socialist is. He's got no clue. He just says things for shock value and for people to hurt him. But I would like your opinion on what's happening in the Democratic Party right now. And it may not be nationwide, but right now it's happening in New York. All right, with a lot of the primaries that were won by Mandani's people. And I've got a view on it, but I want to kind of hear your view first. Hit me, bro.
I've been reading and listening to a lot this week. And from what I gather, there is a movement. It's starting in New York. And, even out here in California, I don't know about Georgia. I think I'm going to give it to Georgia, too. And it's because we talked about this earlier in our show about the Democratic Party sitting on their hands. It's really like the Democratic Party is saying they fighting for the people, but they really going along with the Republicans. They're making this big fight, looking like the Republicans is these villains, which they are. I'm not gonna give them the slack because they are. You know, if I'm constantly focused on what you're doing, then that means I'm spending less time on what I'm doing, what I need
Or
to
what?
do.
Right,
And
right,
that's
right,
what
right,
that's
right.
what that's my impression of this Democratic Party. They act like it's 1964 or something. Oh,
And
we the
you're
good
right.
guys and they the bad guys. You know, so vote for. But you know something? Republicans are, and this is just my opinion, assholes because the way they follow Taco Man.
Hmm.
And I have less respect for him because, you know, I think some of them could be some good people. You know, I'm not knocking them, but I just don't like how they act in office because they're not honest to why they were there. They're acting like I'm going to support Trump at any minute. Whatever he want, I want to give it to him. You know, and
No,
that's. But to your point, I don't want to go too far, but there is a movement that I have been noticing coming from out in New York inside the Democratic Party. And it's like a lot of young, aggressive, just uncomfortable with the old regime of the Democratic Party, you know, the way they operate. They don't really fight. It's just about a conversation. And sometimes their conversations is weak. But from what I've seen so far, it's been a fight. And the mayor of New York, he's kind of leading this show about it. And then he's pulling on a lot of other people are joining alongside him because they really want to get something done. They want to make a change. And you have the existing party, you know, resisting that because they don't want change. They like things the way they are, where they can just sit back and just be there, you know, without doing something. But there need to be some changes in this Democratic Party. And I like some of the things they talk about, term limits, you know, getting in these positions as politicians and being a career. No, it should only be maybe 2 terms and you're out. You know, get somebody new in there because the way they got it now, boys, it's screwed up. It's really screwed up. You know, so that's what I've been noticing about the Democratic Party so far. You know, and that's something I like. I like the change.
well, I think it goes back to what's the old dude out of Maine or whatever it is. I can't think of him, the progressive.
Bernie Sanders.
Bernie Sanders, right. But then Bernie Sanders, because most people, most voters are central. They're in the middle, okay? And to progressive, they've always been told that no, you guys are too much on the edge. You're the left and the far left. But I think the recent surge started with Newsom out there in California when he was just attacking. And it wasn't the idea he was attacking. It was the idea he was attacking a whole new different way than the normal Democrats were doing. He weren't taking no shit from the Republicans, Trump, or anything like that. And he was
No.
giving them back what they were giving him. All right. In other words, the people like the enthusiasm. And in New York, Madani, he is young. His attack is more fresher. All right. He's got the look. He's got the attitude of, okay, I'm not just going to attack you. I'm going
Change.
to tell you what I'm going to do. Right.
Yeah.
I'm going in there and I'm hitting you with the change. And it scares people. And then when he throws out that when people start throwing out that word socialism, the young people don't give a rat's ass what that word means because it means nothing to them. They weren't raised in school on communism and socialism and all that kind of stuff. And the way they see democracy is supposed to mean freedom of speech, but then they see how it's not being free.
Yes.
Okay. They see it's just lip service. All right. And so I like the change. Now, I look at the change this way, Aunt. Do you remember? I like the change in the Democratic Party because the same thing happened in the Republican Party on the edge, and that's the MAGA people. The MAGA people was all right, okay? But they were accepted. The Republican Party accepted the MAGA folks. And the reason they accepted the MAGA folks was because they already set up for MAGA if you go back 10 years or so when they had the Tea Party. And the Tea Party was the prelude to the MAGAs, all right? And then when they accepted the Tea Party, and then all of a sudden Trump comes in after that. So now all these Tea Party people who were excited, but the Tea Party had lost its power, they flowed or molded right in to the new MAGA. They wanted something to be angry about. And now they're trying to say to the Democrats, why are you like this? The socialists, whatever. No, why is it that they can't be angry about something, but you can? You know, and if we want, I think it scares the living hell out of them because it's giving, and also it's giving the independents a third party without actually creating a third party. But you're thinking third party idealism, but you're not saying it's a third party. In other words, they're taking the change that the Republicans Party did and the Democrats, hey, fall in line because you old school guys, you're boring as hell. When you talk, ain't nobody listening. We're tired of you jumping on Trump and saying what he's doing, but you ain't saying a damn thing about what your plans are. The one thing the Democrats and Republicans seem to have in common, they busted their ass to get in office. And once they got in office, they just enjoyed the spoils that they got. They can enjoy the riches, they can enjoy the comfort of being a politician. You know, they get good health care, they get a pension or whatever once they leave office. Hey, what the fuck? All right. You ain't doing, and when you had Biden in there and you came out with some nice stuff, you didn't push it. You just said, okay, Biden did this and that. And then you jumped on Biden for being old. Unbelievable. And
And look what they got
Republicans don't
now.
jump on Trump for being old. And he's old and he's cognitive deficient.
Impaired.
You know? Yeah.
He got all kinds of mental issues, you know. But he's just, he's just a rude individual. You know, he don't have no problem. Just some of the things he get into, I think is just so immature, you know, like, and you want to be, I'm apologize now because I don't mean to disrespect your president, but
okay, my brother. I accept your apology this time only, but don't do it again, all right?
He's a real asshole, you know, because he's just rude. There's nothing else to say about it, but he's just absolutely rude, you know. He takes pride in being an asshole, you know.
Yeah.
I can see if it's benefiting the country or somebody else. It damn sure don't benefit the country or the people that's in the United States because
it doesn't. But it just amazes me how, you know, there was a comparison made by the Vice President Vance, that turd bucket, and he was saying he was making a comparison with Nixon and what was that back when Nixon? No, he was making a comparison to Nixon with Trump, and that what went on with Nixon. They said if that was to happen today, hell, they could probably get 12 hours of news and that's it. It's no big deal. But he didn't tell the truth of the matter. Back then, when Nixon, what is it that, you know what I'm talking about? Watergate. When Nixon went through the Watergate, it was more than just the Watergate. They was talking about the deep state. He says, yeah, look at the deep state now. The deep state back then was Nixon. He was the one that had set up to break into the Democratic National Committee office.
Convention Center. Yeah.
Into the office, office. To break into and the Republicans stood up to him and said, hey, man, I mean, he had his attorney general, he fired him because he wouldn't do what he wanted him to do, like Nixon, like Trump's attorney general is doing, going after people. He said, no, the vice president had to quit because he was about to be Agnew, because he was about to be impeached, all right, and investigated. So, and Nixon had to, and the Supreme Court told Nixon he had to turn over the tapes that he said he wouldn't turn over. And you know what? That son bitch turned him over. No questions asked. Quit, left office. Congress had pulled back then. They stood up on their hind legs and said, no, 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 no. We ain't gonna do this shit. But today, they got no guts. They down on their knees. And they learned to walk on their knees. They learned to crawl on their knees, you know? So it's just, they forgot who the hell they are. And the people here, we forgot the power that we have. We didn't think about it, you know? But how did we it's the change that is happening right now to the Democratic Party. I don't care how it turns out, at least it's something different. And the country is semi socialism anyway. All right. Most of these people don't even know what socialism is. All right. But our public schools is socialism because it's controlled by people. All right. So by the government. So we just and Trump is not trying to turn it, he's trying to turn it into an autocracy. He wants to be king, ruler, and all. And the Supreme Court is giving him, the Supreme Court is telling him that he can, the ruling came out yesterday that the people in Ohio that came from Haiti, that if he want, he could take away their
Citizen.
TCP. Right, their temporary citizen status. He could take that away if anytime he feels like it. He could send people out of his country even though he feels like it, even though that was set up by Congress, you know. So the Supreme Court itself needs to be chastised and get along. And then and Alito, he says, well, there was no racism involved in this. What do you mean? How do you say what the president said, there was no racism involved? The president said on national TV during the debate, they're eating cats and dogs. They're eating cats and dogs, and we don't want them people here. And there was other things said by announcers and all that, and it's just ridiculous. They don't want the immigrants around. Let me say one more thing, and I want you can jump in. This is real quick. I listen to a lot of the talking heads off and on. Okay, I try to listen to Abby Phillips at night on CNN. When the Republicans on that panel get up and start talking about the immigrants and how they'll pick one incident where an immigrant killed somebody, and they'll go, yes, we don't want these people. In other words, they chastise tens and hundreds of thousands of people over one person does, even though the statistics show that the people who are born and lived here are more dangerous than any immigrant that comes here. All right. But they dog the immigrants. And the thing that pisses me off, not one fucking black person that's on there don't tell them, hey, you white assholes are immigrants. How the fuck do you think y'all got here? You know? Y'all weren't,
Well,
your people are immigrants, so how in the hell are you going
they
to
immigrants.
talk
We
about
all
immigrants
immigrants.
when you're immigrants? Yeah.
Right. You know, but they want
And
to
nobody
make it look
tells
like,
them that.
you know, you created this country. You stole the country from the natives, and then you brought people here to work the land. You never took responsibility for shit, but you took all the credit.
Right, right.
That's the same shit.
And when you wanted to kill them and murder them, you did it at will, whenever you feel like it. Any lie will do. Oh, he looked at a white woman. Now we got to burn him at the stake. Now we got to hang him, cut his genitals off, and let the kids have a picnic while we're doing all this, you know? So that leads to one of the other subtopics of our conversation of what's going on today is the 250th anniversary of the United States of America.
It's a beautiful thing that, you know, they can celebrate something like that. But if it's not true to heart, it's really just it's a waste of time. What are you actually celebrating?
Well, my question was, should we celebrate it or condemn it?
Actually, neither. I celebrated on Juneteenth. I celebrated on Juneteenth. I'm good.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Then on top of that, I'm retired, so you know, it don't make a damn bit of difference. You know, the 200. You know, you're not true to. You're not honest from the beginning. That's the hard part to swallow. You're not honest about your history, any of that. All that shit they talk about is fake. You know, and then you want to talk about some real shit. That's some real fake shit. You know, because you're not talking about really how you got here, who suffered through that process, and you getting to where you are. You never own your responsibility. So, you know, stand up and proud and salute and all that shit. If people choose to do it, they're fine. I ain't got no problem with it. That's their shit, not mine. Cause I don't see the same thing they see. It reminds me of
Colin Kaepernick, yeah.
like when he stood up.
when
they
when
they
he
was
knelt
ready to
down.
hang him
Yeah,
from a tree.
they
You
sure
know,
were.
but
They sure were.
was he lying about what he was saying?
No, but see, he denigrated the national pastime of this
No, he didn't.
country.
He didn't
The
dedicate
game.
anything.
No, no, hold on. In their minds, the game called football. You know, that's what they were pissed off more about that. How dare you insult football? And when we sing the national anthem and you drop to one knee or you turn your back on it, you know, look how long it took for them to accept in the Olympics back in '72, I think it was, with the those two runners, and they gave the black power fist when they were standing in first and second place. Gosh, I can't think of their names right now.
It's like I believe this, I think this, and if you don't believe what I believe, then you're no good. Like you, who died and left you judge and jury?
Right,
You know, the thing of it is
right.
that we're entitled to have different opinions. And me and you disagree all the time, every day, every
Dude,
second.
you know what? I get tired of being right all the time around you. So yeah, we do
Right.
disagree all the time.
But the fact of it is, we still can show respect to each other and
Right.
continue to move forward. This country
Always.
don't know how to do that.
No.
Well, and most especially your president, he don't know how to do that. He believes that he's right, you wrong. You
Yeah.
can't tell him. You can't have a conversation about. Ask him anything about he did, and he own it. He don't own shit. This man don't make no mistakes. Shit, he walk on water. As far as they concerned,
And he
that's the hypocrisy of this 250th anniversary. They can celebrate it. It's not something I'm gonna celebrate. I just don't see need in it because you're not honest about your past.
true.
I don't
True.
I don't see anything I need to go celebrate. Like I said, I celebrated already. I celebrated in Juneteenth. I'm
Hmm.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm
it's
retired. I don't work. So them holidays is just another day for me. I ain't gonna get no extra money for it. So what the hell?
bro, I'll send you $1. Drop that address down to me and I'll have it out in the mail in about an hour.
It's gonna take it from where you stay. It's gonna take $1 just to put a stamp on it. $2
Oh,
for you, maybe $5 or $6 for you to get an Uber to get to the post office to put the letter in the mail.
well, I tell you what
And
I'll
I
do.
don't want to take away
I'll
from
hold
you.
on to it till I see you. Okay.
Sound like a good idea.
Okay.
Hold on, put it in that pile with the rest of the money you spoke that you owe me.
The only pile you got is a pile of. I ain't gonna add to that now, but you get it. The 250-year anniversary. The thing that really, when I was listening to people talk about it, is saying that look what we've accomplished in 250 years. I mean, what do you mean we?
That's my point exactly.
Where did this shit come from? Look what we've done. Look what we've accomplished. Look at we've done in farming. Look what we've done. How come you own 90% of the property? Yeah, but you didn't have shit when you came here. As a matter of fact, you didn't even know how to plant anything when you came here. You couldn't even get through the first 2 winters without dying off. They had to send 2, 3 different boatloads of you some bitches here in order to hang on, you know? So don't start acting like we came here and look what we've done with this country. You ain't done shit. All you did was take and steal and have somebody else teach you how to survive. And we're still doing that. But you walk around here and want to be badasses, the power. I got this, I got that, you know. And then you talk to somebody says, yeah, this land has been in my family 10 generations. Yeah, your granddaddy, great great granddaddy stole that shit, you son of a bitch, and probably killed the people he stole it from, you know? And then you're gonna act like you done all this and you great. Now you want to put up a border. You want to put up a border down there in the South where 2/3 of this country out west was run by Mexicans in the first damn place. And now you want to keep them out, you know? Shit. And you look at the Alamo and said, look, we was protecting ourselves. Bullshit. You took, and they wanted it back. It was protecting their rights. But you don't have the guts to say that, you know?
This
Immigrants
is
talk about immigrants. I'll be damned.
yeah.
That's like a dog
This
saying,
is
we can't have no other dogs in here.
pretty much.
Shit, I
But
don't know, bro.
one of the things we do, we talk about it, how this country treat its fellow human being. no respect. I'm better than it's a level system. They here, you're down here. You don't see
Mhm.
my other hand, but that's what they think. But the
Wow, if I
reality
can't
of it
see it, I know where
is
it
that
is.
yeah. But the reality of it is, it's not like that. It's just like this, and
Mhm.
that's the way we have to see it. You know, they're human beings just like us. The asshole turned to the ground just like us. Nothing in this world see they are better than the next person. You know, but that's the lie we've been fed, and that's the lie a lot of us believe that they are better than us because of the shit that come out their mouth. But like I
True,
said, the shit
true.
that come out their mouth, that's just their shit, not our shit. And you have to believe you're a better person. That can't nobody tell you who you are. You have to discover that yourself. And that's the truth. You know, you have to do your own research. To find out. You hear something, you just can't take it for face value. Check it out. Check it out, and you'll find that what was true. And that's the mindset that we always talk about here. That you're more than what people think you are, and you can't believe what people think about you. That's who you are. You have to have that idea in your own mind, get to know who you are and what you're about, and that's how you survive in this thing. You can't feed into their insanity thinking. Because that's the game they've been playing for, as you said, 250 years.
Yeah, yeah, and
Uh,
it's the biggest fear is history, because remember we got into this
like
argument
like
about
Gil Scott Heron said, his story,
right. Mhm.
his story.
Star. That's right. The victors tell they said history. But it's like when we got into that debate about truth last week. They're afraid of truth.
Oh
You know
yeah,
what I mean?
paranoid
But
as hell of the truth. But like I said, I'm glad we do have this platform where we can talk about things that you don't hear on normal news, or you hear a lot about it. If you listen to the right people, you hear there's some truth, a lot of truth. But I'm grateful that we have this platform that we can at least have these type of conversations, not watered down shit, but some truth, like we say, barbershop conversation.
that's it. But it just when you talk to when I watch some of these other black politicians, or they could be Republicans, I'm looking at the black public, and the way they protect Trump and come up with the answers, and I'm kind of wondering, history better than most, but you really don't want to accept it. Why is it that you will allow this lie to continue, and it looks like, well, the rest of them are on their knees, you're on your belly crawling for this guy.
You ain't
And
you ain't
what
getting you're not giving head. You giving butt.
you give him all you got. You're a bed warmer
Uh,
for this guy.
yeah.
And the
And
thing
you know
of it
something,
is
I'm gonna say
yeah,
this
go
much. I'm
ahead.
gonna say this much. I don't, I don't, I'm not I don't hate, because that's a strong word. I don't dislike. I don't see nothing wrong with blacks being Republicans or being whatever you want to be.
Oh
I
no,
just say
no,
one thing:
no.
just be honest. If you're going to be something, if you're going to do something, just be honest about it. Now, don't sit up there and try to bullshit your way through, co-signing insanity, just to look good or get some praise. Because, it's when you do stuff like that, people won't do nothing but just pat you on the head. And
Yeah.
that's the worst feeling in the world. Oh yeah, you did good. You're a good boy. Don't pat me on my goddamn head. Shit. Might make me I might wind up slapping you.
Well,
Yeah.
but they're happy to accept that little bit, and
Yes,
then
they are.
they said, well, the Democrats ain't done this or this ain't done that. You got to understand, we're not asking you to accept all the faults and failures of the Democrats. It's just because there are faults and failures there. Don't look to the Republicans and say, okay, well, I'll accept your shit. You don't have to go there and do that and accept that crap. But in other words, look for the
Just
person.
be
That's why
honest.
there's so many independents out there. Look for the person. Stop looking for the party to come to your aid if they're not. Because you know daggone well the Republicans are not coming to your aid. And no matter how
Right.
you say, well, they're doing something right, you have no more of an answer than the white Republican has an answer of what they're doing right. And then when you hear a black guy go, yeah, well, at least they've stopped the border. We don't want them coming in here taking our jobs. What goddamn jobs are they taking from you that you don't want to go to in the first damn
You know,
place?
s- that's bullshit. It's
Yeah,
bullshit when he say that he getting the immigrants out of here. I'm gonna get the worst of the worst. Listen, if you want to say something, have some proof to back up what you're saying. And you can't just keep saying shit because it sound good to you,
yeah, yeah.
because people gonna call you on that. You know, I
Hmm.
mean, you ain't going after the worst. Now I can understand you want to go get some people that's doing some bad things. Okay, I'm for that. But you that's not what you're doing. It's obvious.
Well, yeah, yeah, yeah. If there's some bad people you want to get out of the country, I understand that. As a matter of fact, nobody deported more people, immigrants out of the country than Obama. But he deported the
And
people out there that came across and got them, took them to court, and the court said they got to go, and they gone. All right. He didn't
he didn't
bus them to other
he didn't
cities
do yeah, he didn't do what
and then try
is
to grab
on
them.
Taco Man is doing. No.
Yeah.
He did what he was supposed to be doing, but he he didn't demonize him. And that's what you're doing.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. He didn't go after
That's
their
just what
kids, you know?
I can't remember. I think it was a judge that said that his birth citizen right shit is didn't make sense, so they kind of threw that out. A lot of the stuff that his him signing these
Executive
president thing,
orders.
yeah,
Executive orders,
all that
yeah.
stuff is falling. It's falling by the wayside, and that's what I'm saying. He's a lot of hot air. He says a lot of things, and he cut you emotionally if you dwell on it enough, or if you don't know any better,
Mm,
but like that. And then you get all caught up and talk about, he's an asshole. I'm just say that. But I'm not really stressed about what he's doing because, all this shit is coming to a head. That's what I believe. It's coming to a head,
mhm,
because he has no respect for the party that support him. He has no respect for himself. So it's kind of hard if you don't have no respect for yourself to have any respect for anybody else. I'm not just talking anything about it. I'm just saying these are the things that he do right out in front. And what he
mhm,
say and what he do don't coincide at all. But
mhm.
well, to a point, he says things and he do things and they do coincide. He say bullshit and he do bullshit. So they do coincide.
Well, when a man tells you he could care less about your survival in this country, he don't care about how you live, your income, or how people are making it. He don't give a rat's ass about that. And then he says, "Oh yeah, the gas prices are going down. Look what I've done." You ain't done shit. You caused the problem.
Right.
You caused the problem. He can't even accept forcing gas prices to go up.
That's my point exactly. He don't take responsibility for none of the shit he
Well,
did.
yeah.
He wanna be praised to. And I say in that position, you got to have some tough skin. You're going to take some criticism. And if you can't take criticism, people need to be in that position.
Mhm.
It's just simple as that. When you feel like you got to attack somebody because you don't like what they say, and then what they say is true, that
Mhm.
says a lot about yourself. Whole lot.
Well, I was watching this show Talking Heads saying last night, and they were saying that Trump is having trouble with Congress, like the senators, about this housing bill that he won't sign now until he gets the Save America Act, that kind of
America
bull
great
crap.
again. Yeah.
Save, through it's basically an election, keep people from voting. All right. And as one Republican said at the panel, well, it just looks like Congress is in the Senate, Congress is acting up and they're not governable. Okay. They're not governable anymore. In other words, they're not being that they're not allowing themselves to be governed by the executive branch of Trump. That's not their jobs to be. They're supposed to govern, not be governed, you know? And nobody said, I'm like, wait a minute, this is just obviously asinine. Congress is not supposed to be governed by one of the other branches, all right? Especially the executive. They do the governing. They make the bills and the laws, all right? So what kind of crap is that? But a lot of things slip by. So this common sense thing slipped by these people, and it just doesn't make any sense at all.
No,
You
it don't
know?
add up.
No, it
It
don't.
it will never add up.
Now, let's go to the third part of our what's going on conversation today between you and I, even though there's more parts. But the third part is about why is it so difficult for this president to not to accept that he don't know what the fuck he's doing with Iran? And why is it difficult for these congressmen and MAGA and these people to stand up and say, hey, listen, bubblehead, you don't know what the hell you're doing. All right. Why is it difficult for him to understand that the things he is saying don't make sense about Iran? You don't have a treaty with them. What you have is a memo that basically state what y'all would like to do. But right now, you're not doing a damn thing.
Like I said earlier, he has issues where he can't. Well, better yet, he's used to doing whatever he wanted to do because he had a little bit of money.
Mm-hmm.
Respect was something that he didn't really have to give anybody. He has a mindset where this is what he want to do, and if you don't do that, he loses his temper. You got a man child up there, a
Pretty
real,
much. Yeah.
real man child up there, and it's sad that we got to constantly talk about an individual that has no gumption whatsoever.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that's what the people.
True.
Now, a lot of them wanted something different,
Well,
and they
it
got it.
is.
And
Yeah.
I'm more than quite sure they don't like what they got, and they have issues owning that. Some of them have issues owning that. And other people accepting the fact that I made a mistake, and that's human nature. We make mistakes.
Well, part of it
So
is.
what we gonna do now? What are we gonna do now? Is a question.
Well, yeah. Part of it is he told them something completely different. He wasn't going to start no new wars, and the first thing right
He
out the
did.
box, he started them. Went to Venezuela. All of a sudden, he got that hard on about Venezuela. Then next thing you know, he says, "I'm going after Iran." This guy. No,
I
before
think
that, he went after what you call them?
Cuba.
Gosh, the islands that gosh, it's hard being old, right? The Greenland. Then he tried to go after
Yeah.
Greenland. Then he was talking about trying to get Canada. All right, this guy nuttier than a fruitcake. Iran.
That just goes to show the mentality, of what you have to deal with, what we all have to deal with on a daily basis. Reflection, nothing mad towards a female, but this dude say
Yeah.
on his period 24/7. He bleeds 24/7.
Yeah. Let
I mean,
me.
look at the reflecting pool.
God.
This
Talk
is
about a
real
screw
idiot,
up.
man.
Talk about, and then he's gonna say vandals did it. Vandals are doing it. My God, what a effing idiot.
Did this guy take responsibility for anything?
For nothing. For nothing. He don't take any
And
responsibilities
then
for
he
anything.
he wants I can't remember the amount, but it's in the billions, a ballroom. You got people can't pay for health care, buy food, but
Right.
you want to
300,
build
three,
a
300
ballroom.
million and up to, and now the Congress want to give him $1 billion for a ballroom, which is bigger than the White House itself. Now you tell me something. What kind of sense does that make? None whatsoever.
None
None
whatsoever.
whatsoever.
It's,
This guy, he wants to build an arch like they got in Arch de Triomphe in Paris, in France. He wants one of those big arches. He said he has made everything. How do you get your pool guy to work on something in the government without a government bid system? No government, they just gave him a contract because he cleans his pool at the hotel. He does a great job, you know. That's like saying, okay, I got a cousin, my Uncle Bob, Billy Bob, he changed the flat tire and he fixed my brake on my car. Man, you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna send him up to General Motors and let him run General Motors,
Pretty much.
Silly.
But that's
Silly.
the type of mentality. That's what they allow this country to succumb to. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it's not a president anymore. It's more of a dictator. You know, I could bring my cousin in because he said he can do it. You know, we ain't got to go through no screen or anything. He just said he can do it. I believe he can do it. So let's give him the job. You know, we went 250 years backwards.
Ah,
That's what they celebrate. 250 years of backwards. Shit don't
gosh.
make no sense. But to them,
Man, where in the hell
everybody
okay, let me ask you last thing for our conversation for the day. I don't see many. What is the kind of got an idea of what Black society thinks about all that's going on in this country right now, but I don't see none of it on TV. All I see is the same politicians, the same people, but when they go out into the public, they mainly go out and they talk to either MAGA folks, all right, about Trump or white folks about Trump, but you don't see many of them having conversations with the Black populace out there. There's something I'm missing?
the answer to your question is real simple. Why you don't see that? Because if you do see that, then the light will come on, and I will
Mm-hmm.
see. You sound crazy. You making sense.
Mm-hmm.
It's not. That's not what they want you to see. They want you
Yeah.
to see what they want. They want you to hear what they want you to hear because this is how they dictate to people.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you see it long enough, even though you know it's not true, you'll believe it. If you hear it long enough,
That's
even though
given.
you
That's a
know it's not
given.
true,
That's
you
a
believe
given.
it. You know, so
Yeah.
you have a lot of black journalists that got fired, blackball, however you
Mm-hmm.
want to call it, is because you was hearing the other side. You was hearing an honest opinion of what they saw, not what
Mm-hmm.
your boss wanted you to put out there. You got two sides. There's always two sides to a story.
Mm-hmm.
Today, you get one side,
Yeah.
and their intentions is to feed that to you, feed that to you, feed that to you. Make sure you see this on a regular basis. I mean, only time I really want to watch the regular news is when I'm getting the weather, because they can't lie about that. They can't.
Well, if you give Trump that Sharpie to draw on that weather map, well, I tell you, yeah,
I
we'll
mean,
have tornadoes in Alaska
mhm.
if you let him handle it.
If I want, you know something, what I have been doing, I listen to black journalists on YouTube and their podcast. But you want to hear some real stuff, real news? Go out of the country and listen to people in the news talk about the United States. Man,
Shit, man, shoot, boy, and when he gets up there and Trump gets up there and say, "Man, the world love us. They love us. Everybody think we're great." No, they don't. No, they
they
don't.
think you are an asshole.
Right. Stop lying to yourself, man. Wow. Don't work that way. It reminded me of going back into the 70s when you was getting information from the Black Panther Party, getting information from black radio. Black radio was strong back then, or even some black TV, which was probably one channel which came on at 12 o'clock at night. But anyway, the young lady was deep, all right? It made you think, and to me, partially, I think some of the people her age who would listen to it and hear it really couldn't relate to it. couldn't quite understand. Because if you look at a lot of what's going on Facebook and other social media, a lot of that stuff about us that you see the young people do, it's in a negative light. You know, you see young ladies fighting each other like little young thugs, you know, and like that's supposed to be us. Why are they showing all that? You know, I see more negative than I see positive on there. I see more black relationships between the man and the woman is always negative connotones. You cheated on me. You cheated on me. What you doing with her? Whose baby is that? I'm not the father of that baby, or this or that or whatever. I see more negative connotones than I see positive. So I figure that what you sent me with that young lady, I think there'll be a lot of people who couldn't relate. Reason I'm saying they couldn't relate, they don't want to hear that. They want to hear something that's shocking. You know, world, one world, or whatever they call that video, or that some crap like that. World, I can't think of the name of it, whatever. World Star. Oh, this is World Star and all that kind of junk. No, I don't want to see all that. I don't want to hear all that.
You call that deflecting.
Right, right. But see, the people don't know that. They don't know it's deflecting. They look at it and say, "Wow, they want that in the street." Let me tell you, we're gonna go over a little bit, but I got to get this out. When you look at the fall of a nation, most nations fall from the inside, okay, in the interior. And I'm just going to briefly touch on this. One of the last nations you seen fall from the inside was Rome, okay? Now, Rome was when they had a senate. They basically had a legislature, all right? But the people were angry about stuff, so they took their anger and gave it to one person, gave it to one man, all right, Caesar or whatever. And they started mistrusting politicians into the Senate. Now, Rome had a big Colosseum, all right? And at their Colosseum, they had gladiators fight to the death, all right, in the arena, you know, killing this, that, animals, all this and that going on in the arena. Their sex went crazy to, I'm not going to knock homosexuality or anything like that, but they took it because the hierarchy took it to another level. Now let's take a look at this country. All right. You got a president whom everybody just bypasses to Congress, even Congress bypassed themselves and give all power and authority, even the Supreme Court did, to one man. All right. And what did he do a week ago? 250th anniversary. He set up a wrestling ring, an arena out in front of the White House. Did he not? Yes, he did. And he put on a show, in other words, a gladiator show in front of the White House. And how many people actually got up and said, this is stupid? All right. They held back on it. All right. But all the major celebrities, they didn't show up. But did they get out there and criticize it? No, they didn't. So you tell me, are we similar to Rome? Are we about to fall internally?
Hey,
So far, the signs are
no,
there.
no. I don't think we about to. I think we have already.
Are we in the
think this is a
process of it?
process.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think we're in the process.
right. So, hey, think about it. So 250 years, what do we've got to show for it? Entertainment.
Yeah,
Nothing. That's about right. Nothing. And they think we should be celebrating what? You ain't getting the truth.
and I say this much before we get out of here.
Yeah.
There is a lot that we can celebrate as a nation, but before we do that, I think we need to own our own shit.
Right, right, right. And they don't want to hear
When we
about
start doing
slavery
that,
until you accept
when we
what
start
slavery
doing that,
caused. Yeah,
yeah, when you start doing that, then I believe you'll find a lot of people more willing to celebrate that because that's true history. You're
yeah,
not trying to hide anything. You acknowledge it and you move it
yeah.
forward. And that gives people the incentive to celebrate, to do better,
Right.
you know.
If you accept immigration, it's all right for you to say, my father came here from Ireland through the potato famine. He came here, he worked real hard, and look what he achieved. But you won't allow anybody else to come from some place that's having trouble and work hard and achieve. But you don't want to have
No,
that.
because we're too busy on this scale system.
Right.
They here, you down here. You know
Right.
when I say this, you never see that the hand where they got you at, where they want you
Mhm.
at. But you always have to remember that is not your shit. That's their shit.
Mhm.
You
Yeah.
know, and you belong up here just as much as they do. Just that
Right.
simple. It's not
Yeah.
complicated.
So
Just that
then
simple.
when that Irish farmer protects his land and kills the Indians, but the Indians can't protect their land to kill the Irish guy who invaded them. All right, we got to accept the realities of what we caused in 250 freaking years.
It's called
So
responsibility.
you're damn right. You're damn right. And another thing we're damn right about too is that's it for the day for Minute Man's Conversations. We're not a therapy session. If you want therapy, and you know, think about therapy. If you uncomfortable in your skin, in your relationship, in your job, in your world today, don't stop blaming everybody else. Take a look at yourself. Look
They
inside.
say the man in the mirror.
You're right. And then if you need somebody just to discuss it with you, just to find out where you at, just to check yourself. We used to say that a lot back in the old days. You better check yourself before you wreck yourself. Garnett Counseling, GarnettCounseling.com. And they've got therapists and people there that can help you. Check yourself before you wreck yourself. This is Titus Garnett.
And I'm Anthony Washington. On Mended Men's Conversation.
All right,
Mhm.
people. You guys, you got the 4th coming up, and we'll have a show after the 4th. If you want to celebrate it, fine. I ain't going to chastise you for it. All right? But also
Do your
understand,
thing.
have education of what you're celebrating. Take care.
Mhm.
See you later, Ant-Man.
That's a wrap on today's episode of Mended Men's Conversation. If something we shared resonates with you, don't keep it to yourself. Share this episode with someone who needs it. Remember, healing is a journey, and you don't have to walk it alone. Stay connected with us, subscribe to the podcast, and join the conversation online. Until next time, keep growing, keep healing, and keep building your legacy.